That's a free W. Thank you, bro. Anyone else want to do one of those? Oh, Hamza, yeah, I think self-improvement's good, bro. Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, Adonis gang member. What's up, bro?
So, bro, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, what did you want to talk about?
So, if it's good with you, man, I'd like to continue the conversation you were having with Oscar about veganism.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so for Oscar, like he said he was sort of like he's not vegan yet, but for me personally, I've been vegan for like several years now, like over 3 years. So what I want to argue was, based off my own experience, I've been healthy, like I'm quite strong, like I feel like I have like a decent physique. I ran a 10K today, doing a half marathon next week. I can bench
Nice.
press 100 kilos. I'm trying to say that based on my own experience, I've been healthy, and it can be a bit more difficult, definitely, but everything of value it doesn't come with ease. You have to put in some effort, right? So based off having to put in that effort, I'd say that if it is possible to be healthy, and I'm still learning how I can be even healthier, like getting rid of seed oils and learning more and more about nutrition and stuff like that. If I can do that, and if I can have the same level of health as someone else might on carnivore, for example, that I think if you can have that same level of health, then morally you ought to be vegan and go that way. That's what I'd argue.
I don't argue that you can be healthy on a plant-based diet because really health just comes from not eating bullshit. And when you're eating just plants in general, obviously you can do veganism wrong and you can start having like, I don't know, soy burgers and like vegan meat and all this weird shit that they've got, seed
Yeah,
oils, whatever. But let's say, okay, you're literally genuinely plant-based. You're not having like some weird restaurant stuff. Then I don't doubt you could be a pinnacle of health that way. I don't doubt it. What I would say is is it as healthy as you possibly could be? I think at that point, honestly, it starts to just get into individual differences. It's like for you, it might work, and for someone else, they might be better on just pure meat. I think 100% of people should just not eat garbage, and then you're already at the gold standard. And then from there, if you want to just eat plants, or if you want to have plants and meat, or if you want to have like a mix of them, I think that would go well. Do you really think that you would maximize your health without meat? Like, let's say, okay, if you ate 50 grams of meat today, not a lot, 50 grams, would that increase or decrease your health?
think it'd be about the same if I get the same nutrition. It doesn't really matter about the fact that it's the meat, it's about getting the nutrition. I don't think that if you have plants, like you can get the same things you can get from meat as well. Because like the animals, they eat plants themselves too. So everything, like all of the nutrition deep down does come from the plants. Like yes, it's more dense in the meat, but you can still get all of those nutrients. So I feel like it's not about the meat itself, it's about the nutrition. And if you have the same level of nutrition, whether it's plants, whether it's omnivore, whether it's carnivore, you can still have that same amount.
It's-
So
you see,
yeah,
that's a good argument, but what I will say is, like, I've seen those things of, for example, comparing the protein in beef and broccoli, and it's like, oh, you can have so much broccoli, so it'll fill you up. But truthfully, what you said is if we can match the nutrients, that's the tricky part. So now we've agreed that basically if you're eating any of these diets, you're already at the pinnacle of health. And now you're thinking, okay, it probably won't make that much of a difference if we added a little bit of meat. And I also agree, like on the counter, it wouldn't make that much of a difference if I added in a bit of vegetables. I'm not like crazy that, oh yeah, if you eat vegetables, you're going to die or anything, right? But then I would just ask, you've said, okay, if you can match the nutrition, isn't it a lot harder to match what you need for your protein without meat?
I think if you learn it, it's not a lot harder because you learn about the nutrition. But again, if something's harder, that doesn't mean it's not worth doing. Like everything that we do on self-improvement is going to be more difficult, but we do that anyway because it's more valuable. So if we can have that same gold standard, one is more difficult, but one is more moral. I think we should do that path because we can still have that standard of health.
How are you getting the protein in?
Am I getting the protein in? So I'm trying to have more like whole foods and like step away from. I'm not fully sure about soy, but because I'm not sure, I'm trying to keep that down a bit. And seed oils, I'm trying to like eliminate them as much as I can. So for me, it's more like whole foods that I can try to do. So like lentils and beans and stuff like that. And it's I still have a lot of work to do to figure out the balance, and there's still a lot to learn. But I feel like I I do feel as though I can get a good amount of protein. I have like double my body weight in kilograms. So like in terms of building muscle, in terms of strength and stuff like that, I've never had any problem, and I've been able to make things more and more healthy. Of course, there's a path to learn more things about that, but that's yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I just saw someone in the chat saying, what about the bioavailability of the protein? So in general, meat protein from eggs and meat is the highest quality protein available. Basically, 30 grams of plant protein is not as effective as 30 grams of meat protein. And so if we go with only plant-based, then we suffer from this weird thing where even though we're hitting the right protein, let's say 1 gram per pound of body weight, 180 grams, then it won't actually build as much muscle in a weird way that 180 grams worth of protein from meat would.
Sure, but like if you adjust for that, because with the bioavailability, it's like certain amino acids are going to be higher and certain are lower. And even if you argue like across that, it's going to be less. If you have a variety of different protein sources, and if you have enough protein anyway, like for muscle growth beyond, I think it's 0.82 grams per pound of body weight, beyond that point, you're not going to have any muscle gains anyway. So yes, it's going to be more difficult, but if you can get that amount of protein, then you and make sure like adjust for the bioavailability, then you can still get that amount, and then you're fine.
Okay, yeah, that was a really good answer. How about some of the problems that a lot of the carnivores talk about with plants? So plant toxins and pesticides.
So yeah, I think Oscar mentioned this as well. When you like cook the plants, for example, basically all of the like the anti-nutrients, they get down to such a point where they don't really cause any harm. And when it comes to like plant toxins and stuff like that, yes, most plants are toxic, but we found which plants are edible for consumption. We found that the berries don't work, but we found that the potatoes and vegetables do. The same with animals as well, because there are certain animals that have chemicals as a defense mechanism too. So we can't have like poisonous dart frogs and like puffer fishes and stuff like that. But then we found that other animals we could eat. So it's like we did the same thing with plants. We found which plants were safe for us to consume. And if we cook them, for example, then there aren't any anti-nutrients that are going to really cause any problems. So, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant answer. You're very well spoken as well. How about there's some you mentioned the moral argument. So it's more moral to eat plants. Why?
It's more moral because you inflict much less suffering. There'll always be suffering that you cause, but you inflict much less. And I know people talk about like crop deaths and the fact that you will end up killing like mice and shrews and stuff like that. But the thing is, that is a much lower amount than the amount of farmland you need when it comes to raising animals anyway, because you'd have to use up so much land to farm the animals in the first place. And then as well as that, you have, for example, in the fishing industries and stuff like that, it's like 1 trillion of the sea animals that are killed every single year. So it's like, you know, people talk about sharks and stuff like that. Like sharks are such a dangerous animal. I think they kill about 10 humans every year, but we kill like tens of thousands of them every minute. So it's like there's so much more that's caused when it comes to the animal agriculture stuff. There's still death, but there's much more when it comes to animal agriculture.
That's a very good answer. It's interesting. You're making good points, but I don't know why I'm just not convinced at all. I just never have been when I've heard like the veganism. Anyone else feel that? It's like honestly, like a lot of vegans do actually make really good points. Like you've honestly really just made point after point after point. So maybe I'm not being the logical one, but I just don't want it, bro.
You know what it is, bro? Like for a lot of people, man, it's like emotionally, culturally, they're just so used to eating meat and stuff like that. And especially the taste. Like, I'm not denying the taste, man. Like the taste is good, but again, if we're looking for short-term pleasure, man, that's just like instant gratification. That's what we're using our minds for. So if we aren't using pleasure as the sole thing, like meat tastes good. Of course it tastes good, bro, but we can be better than that. We can understand what's better morally and overall. So that's what I'd say, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few more points people are saying. We won't have time to cover all of them, but I think those are, plants can be estrogenic. It can lead to brain fog, whereas meat in general won't be. People are saying meat. Honestly, like with the taste, if I'm honest, I don't really like love the taste of meat. Like I was raised on fucking chicken nuggets and stuff, so that my palate's like already fucked from that, right? So it was like I was raised on ultra palatable junk food and sugar and everything. But for me, the final thing is like I think I'd get weaker. Just I can't explain it, but I'm just sure I would if I stopped eating meat.
Have you tried it, man? Have you tried veganism and tried to figure out things that you could do in a healthy way? Because you definitely can. Because you say this about the carnivore diet, like to people who criticize it, have they tried it? But it's like the same with veganism. Like if you haven't tried it, it's like you don't know which is better for you.
That's a really good point. You know what? We'll end it there. I say you win, you know, because honestly, that's the final point you could have made is like, I've tried carnivore. I tell people to try it and just like, don't judge it till you tried it. I've never actually tried veganism. Many of us actually haven't. And it's actually a really good point. If the argument works for the carnivore, then it should actually work for veganism as well. If I shit talk it so much and so do us, it's like, I've never even tried it. So what can I say? So yeah, doubly for Paras, bro. Very nicely done, bro. I got the smoke in that round. Thank you for coming up, brother. Very well spoken, Ryan. You know a lot about veganism, man. Nicely done, bro. Yeah, W's in the chats, boys. I just got smoked, man. Paras school. It's yours now, bro. You head the calls. You do the calls with the Donish gang from now on, bro.